Hi everyone, in this presentation we'll be discussing on the topic drug stability and kinetics. For the convenience and ease of understanding, I have divided this entire chapter into 4 parts. In the part 1, we'll be going to discuss about the various orders of reactions such as zero order, first order, second order and pseudo first order, how to determine the order of the reactions also. And we'll be also further discussing about what is half-life and how to find out the half-life for a zero order, first order, second order. Similarly, what is self-life? How to find out the self-life for a zero order and first order reaction. In the part 2, we will be discussing about what are the various factors affecting the chemical stability of a drug, such as temperature, solvent, ionic strength, dielectric constant, etc. And we will also discussing about the physical and chemical factors influencing the degradation of the pharmaceutical products. See, once again, the question number 10, 11, 12 also belongs to the ninth, that is chemical factors influencing the degradation of the pharmaceutical products such as hydrolytic decomposition, oxidative decomposition, and methods to prevent the same. So sometimes they ask the questions in the different manner, in an indirect manner. For that only I have given here the type of the question that will be asked. In the part 3, we'll be going to see about what influence of light on the photolytic decomposition of the drugs and ICH and WHO guidelines for the stability testing of pharmaceutical products. Finally, in the part 4, we will be going to see about what is accelerated stability testing, how can you determine the shelf-life of a pharmaceutical product based upon the Arrhenius concept, and what is the limitations of this testing. So move on to the part 1, beginning with the definition. What is drug stability? Drug stability means the ability of the pharmaceutical dosage form to maintain the physical, chemical, therapeutic and microbiological properties which has been specified for the particular dosage form during the time of storage and will be used by the patient. It measures the rate of a changes that takes place during the storage of the product. There are 5 concerns relating to the stability of the dosage form. The first concern is chemical. Each active ingredient retains its chemical integrity and label potency within the specific limits. Let us take a paracetamol tablet. The label claim says 500 mg. So during that storage period of time, whether the paracetamol can able to retain this 500 mg or any degradation was happening, and what is the specifications mentioned and what was happening during this during the storage time is a chemical concern. Coming to the physical concern, the original physical properties including appearance, palatability, uniformity, dissolution of the tablets, and suspendability for the suspensions were maintained or not during the stability or storage time. Coming to the microbiological concerns, resistance to microbiological growth is retained according to the specified requirements, or antimicrobial agents retain effectiveness within the specific limits. Let us say some products are for one-time use, let us say ampoules. So whether before breaking the ampoule, whether the sterility of the ampoule was maintained or not is a microbiological concern for the single-use ampoules. If you take some example like eye drops, the antimicrobial agents has been added because there will be frequently used for many times once the product is open. So the antimicrobial agents added to this antimicrobial agents added to this eye drops will retaining the effectiveness during the storage period or not is a microbiological concern. The fourth one is therapeutic concern. So the therapeutic effect remains changed or unchanged. So if you the paracetamol, the therapeutic activities, reducing headache, whether during the storage period the product is able to maintain this therapeutic activity or not is a therapeutic concern. And coming to the last toxicological concern, that means during the storage period, no product has been degraded, no byproducts or extra products has been released from the dosage form that will cause the toxicity of the product. Kinetics. Kinetics is the study of the rate at which the process occur and the changes by which the process occur. That is, it may be due to chemical changes or it may be due to a physical changes. Chemical changes such as decomposition of the drug and physical changes such as lot of water from the pharmaceutical dosage form. Kinetic studies helps and are useful in providing information that gives an insight on what mechanism the reaction is proceeding and allows the prediction of how much degree of changes that will be happening during the reaction. Next comes is molecularity. Molecularity is the number of molecules involving in the formation of the product or a reaction. Take an example of nitrogen pentoxide. Nitrogen pentoxide gives two molecules of nitrogen dioxide plus one oxygen atom. The reaction is slow and it is called as unimolecular reaction because one molecule gives rise to the products. Coming to the next example, two oxygen atoms combine together and give an oxygen molecule, and the reaction is fast, and it is a bimolecular reaction because two components are combining and giving one product. Coming to order of reaction. This is the number of concentration terms that determine the rate. That means how many number of terms, how many number of reactants are involving to form a product will give the order of the reaction. If for suppose if it is one product giving the reactant, it is called as first order. If it is two reactants will be giving the product, is called as second order. We'll see some examples. In a unimolecular process, a single molecule will be the reactant. The law of mass action states that the rate of this kind of reaction depends upon the product concentrations. As we mentioned before, dinitrogen pentoxide will give two molecules of nitrogen dioxide and one oxygen atom. So the rate of a reaction is K into concentration of dinitrogen pentoxide. Here K1 is the rate constant for the first order reaction, and the bracket indicates the concentration of this reactant. In a bimolecular process, two molecules must collide to react, and the likelihood of collision depends upon the concentration of each species, which we already seen before. The example, two oxygen atoms will combine together give one oxygen molecule. The rate of a reaction can be written as K2 into concentration of two oxygen atoms. Here K2 is the reaction rate constant for the second order reaction, and the brackets indicate the concentration of the reactants. So first order reaction. The rate of a first order process is determined by the one of the concentration term. Only one of the concentration term. First order process are far the most important process in pharmaceutical sciences. That means most of the pharmaceutical products will follow the first order compared to the other order kinetics. Many drug decompositions during the storage and the passage of drugs from one body to the one body compartment to the another body compartment, that is example human of intestine into the blood, follows this first order kinetics. Second order kinetics. The rate of a second order process depends upon the two concentration terms, which is the example which I already seen earlier. Next is pseudo first order process. Pseudo, the term pseudo indicates false and first order process. That means it is a false first order process. See, basically if you see the reaction, ethyl acetate undergoes hydrolysis and yields acetic acid and ethanol. It looks a second order reaction, isn't it? But it is basically a first order reaction. How? See, a reaction which is not a first order reaction naturally but made first order by increasing or decreasing the concentration of one of the reactants is known as pseudo first order reaction. If you see here in this reaction, the water content is very huge, whereas the ethyl content is very less. That means at the end of the reaction, the water content is hardly changing very little. That means this is not at all properly consumed by the ethyl acetate. See, if you want to say the term reactant, a reactant should be consumed during the course of the reaction. A catalyst is not consumed during the course of the reaction. So here water will be acting as a catalyst but not as a reactant. Hence, this was a first order reaction. Since the two terminologies, the two reactants were involved, it has been called as pseudo first order process. Strictly, it is a second order reaction. Next comes this zero order process. In zero order reaction, the rate of process, that is decomposition, drug release, etc., is independent of concentration of the reactants. That means they are not at all depending on the concentration of the reactants. They are proceeding as of their own. This criteria applies to the hydrolysis of drugs in suspensions, delivery from the controlled release doses forms such as transdermal patches, control list tablets, etc., a constant rate of drug release from a dosage form is highly desirable. For the better understanding of this zero order, I have plotted a graph here. The x-axis is time, the y-axis is plasma concentration. After taking a tablet of, let us say again example of paracetamol, I have prepared three kinds of tablets. One is a conventional tablet, that is immediate release tablet. Another one is a control release tablets. Let us keep aside temporarily this sustained release tablet. So if you see the plasma concentration curve here, for an immediate release tablet, it was initially high, then it was reduced, because when the concentration of the paracetamol is high in the stomach, slowly the absorption was increased. When the concentration is going to be retarded in the stomach, the concentration is going to be reduced in the plasma also. Whereas in the case of the control release curve, the concentration is completely independent of whatever the paracetamol that is available in the stomach. It is maintaining from beginning to ending the same rate throughout the course of absorption. So this kind of process, which is not depending on the concentration of the drug or the chemical, is called as zero order kinetics or control release kinetics. Coming to the rate of reaction, it is the speed or the velocity of a reaction with which the reactants or the reactant molecules undergoing a change. It is determined by the change in concentration of the reactants or products as a function of time. The decrease in the concentration with respect to time, that is the rate, will be determined the constant into concentration of n number of terms. Next comes half-life. Half-life of a reaction, T half is represented by the symbol T half, is the amount of time needed for a reactant concentration to decrease half compared to its initial concentration. So let us take example in this graph. In the x-axis I have plotted the time of the reaction or the course of the reaction, and the y-axis I have plotted the change in the concentration of the reactant. See, initially it is 0.8 microgram. During the course of the reaction, the concentration was drastically changing. So how much time that has been required to reduce the half? Here the half is nothing but 0.4. How much time required to reduce half of the reactant concentration is called T half. So that's why this will be the first T half. From again here half of the concentration, second T half, and third T half, and so on. So for the first T half it took 400 seconds, followed by 800 seconds, 400 seconds, and so on. So basically that amount of time required for a reactant molecules to exactly reduce to half of its concentration is called as half-life. Then shelf-life. Shelf-life is defined as the time necessary for a drug to decay to 90% of its original concentration. So what is the meaning of this? Let us take an example of ibuprofen tablet. The label claim is 100 mg. So what happens is during the storage, slowly it may start decaying, releasing the degradation products. So how much time is required for the ibuprofen tablet to decay 10%? That means 90% still is there, 10% has been decayed. It may be 1 year, it may be 2 years, sometimes it may be 3 years. So how much time it was taking, that is the period of time, the total period of time it was taking to decay the 10% of the concentration, initial concentration, for a active ingredient is called shelf life. Shelf life is the period of time from the date of manufacture that a drug product is expected to remain within its approved product specification while the storage under definite conditions. Shelf life is typically expressed in the units of months, 24, 36, and 60 months. Many of us we are familiar with the term expiry date because it will be mentioned in all the pharmaceutical products label that product is going to be expired and so on so date. But many of us will not be familiar with the term shelf life. See, the both terms are in around interlinked and same. Shelf life is basically the time period within which the product is safe, effective, and fit for purpose, provided the storage conditions it has been stored. That is, it is best until the time period. Whereas in the case of expiry date, all drugs are tend to deteriorate, degrade from the point of manufacture, and the expiry date of a product is the end point. That means it is a particular date, and this is a time period. In order to understand better, you see this. Here, let us say today is the expiry, today is the production date for a tablet, and after 2 years, this is the expiration date, and the time period to which from the manufacture date to expiry date it was taking is called shelf life. That's why in the previous slide also you have seen the shelf life will be explained in the units of months, whereas expiry date is a particular date at which the product is going to be expired. As another scientific, in scientific terms, if we see, the shelf life is the 90% will be retained, otherwise the 10% which is going to be degraded, and how much time, how many months it was taken to deteriorate 10% of the drug, and at what date the 10% of the drug has been totally deteriorated is the expiry date. This is a summary of various orders of kinetics. In the first column, I have given the definition for all these order of kinetics, and this is the equation for the different order of kinetics. And this is the half-life equation to find out the product half-life for a zero order kinetics, first order, second order, and so on. And this is the equation for the predicting the shelf life. That means how many months it can able to retain the 90% of its concentration for the respective orders. And also I have given some of the examples for the respective order of kinetics. Thank you everyone for your patience listening, and this is the end of the presentation part 1.